Welcome back to This Week in Indies. Banned books is becoming one of those hot button topics out there in our world and in our industry at large. Whether it is from a political, religious, or fundamental standpoint, banned books have been part of the lexicon for a while now. But are they getting out of control? What, as indies, are we being affected by when we talk about banned books? What could possibly hold for the future if banned books become a much more prevalent part of our society than they already are? We'll discuss this and more with our roundtable discussion panel. Then C.O. Cannon will be along with the Indie Connection, bringing you books that are similar to that of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. And then finally, we torture our panel with another great 5-minute drill, and we'll see how good they do. I hope you're ready to have a nice, hearty discussion on the heels of Banned Book Week. Let's grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and get ready for another great discussion here on This Week in Indies with your host, Joe Compton. Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Indies. Yes, it's me, Joe Compton. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, welcome to the show, and send a star to our hosts and producers to let them know how much you appreciate what we do here at Go Now. Every time you contribute, you're going to enter into our season-ending prize package, the drawing of gift cards and swag, and so much more. But I'm so happy to have you all here. I see that the chat is already buzzing, even if there's a lot of fourth wall breaking. There's still some buzzing going on, and I appreciate that. And I've got a wonderful, wonderful panel, obviously, as usual. And we're going to talk about a polarizing subject, but I think one that is very important, prevalent, as always, which is kind of a sad statement to make, but it is part of what we do and how we do it, and it's something that we're going to have to face, I think, as indies at some point. We'll talk about that. But that being said, here is the group that I'm referring to earlier, the wonderful, awesome, lovely people that, have come to join me. And so let's get around the table and say hello and tell everybody who you are. Not that, anybody here needs an introduction, but it's always nice to have one anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just put her right on the spot.
Hey guys, it's my first time being a panelist this season because I totally dropped the ball on signing up to be a panelist. So I am actually going to pimp my books this time. Black Flames, Blue Flames, Living Flames will have a pre-order up soon. I'm dragging my feet on it a little bit because it is expanding into a fourth book. But I write a mix of fantasy, romance, and paranormal. I will be at Multiverse this weekend if you guys are going to be there. I'll have a booth and be signing books and whatnot. But yeah, you can find all my stuff at my website, thechaptergoddess.com.
Nice. All right. Jessica?
I'm Jessica Nettles. I'm the author of The Children of Menlo Park. I, too, will be at Multiverse next weekend. You can find me at, let's see if I can do this. There we go. At Jessica Nettles author as well. I did it.
Yeah.
I also write Southern Gothic horror. I will be signing books next weekend. Let's see, from 11:15 to 12:15 on Saturday, I think. I'll be at the signing table. I also have my books at the Falstaff table. Go by and see us. We'll be there. My publisher will be there. And come see us. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if you walk by John Hartnett, you're definitely buying a book. So just be prepared, everybody.
You're not just buying one book. You're going to buy
no.
Let's just be real.
He's going to fill a tote bag for you.
That's right.
All right. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tiffany?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Vega. I am an indie author of several different kind of books, but currently I have a new release that's coming out on the 19th. It's called Yord's Curse. It will actually, I'll be at Multiverse, and we will have a release party there. I think it's on Saturday night. So come by and see me. I'll sign a book for you. I also run a company called Mood Alchemy, and it is promoting mental wellness and LGBTQ plus community by products. So go check it out.
Nice. Thank you for being here. Also, yeah, you mentioned you'd be at Multiverse as well, right?
I will. Yep.
And speaking of Multiverse,
Hey
Juliet?
everyone, this is Juliet Rose. I will also be at Multiverse. I think you all will. I am a cross-genre author. I currently have 8 novels and a novella out, and I'm in a few anthologies as well, horror anthologies. I pretty much say I write what I like. So whatever pops in my head, that's what I'm going to write. So I try to just be open to that. You can find me at authorjulietrose.com. And yeah, I look forward to meeting anybody at the Multiverse. Come up and say, hey, I'm a little bit of an introvert, so you got to kind of like come and poke me. But once you poke me, I'll talk.
That's awesome. She won't be at Multiverse, but she will be. She's number one in our hearts always, and she'll be there in spirit. The one and only Karina Cantus.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, everyone. I'm Karina Gantus. I am an author of 14 fiction books, all different genres. I'm also an award-winning and best-selling author. I'm the CEO of Author Assist. I help promote, publish, and market authors and their books. And I'm happy to be here. Won't be at Multiverse. Won't be jealous. We'll be thinking of you all, and we'll be watching all of the lives and everything that all of you do.
Nice, awesome. Yes, we will be live doing this show from Atlanta as we do every year. So come and check us out there. We've got a wonderful group of people here. Dan is here, who also sends us some stars. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. This should be a fun one. Adia Stewart's here. And you are in the right place, Mr. Myers. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Jessica breaking the fourth wall. I love to read. I love to read about all my favorite bands. All right, and Maddie's here, and yes, okay. It's a kind of TikTok sending gifts. I think you can jump up. I don't know what you guys are all doing here, but whatever. Yes, thank you, Dan. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I think that's Vanessa's like never ending goal.
It will happen.
It would be an awesome day when it does. That's for sure. But so all of that fun aside, so this is an interesting topic. Simply because I think that there's a lot of different levels and layers to it, and look, I'm just gonna say it up front. Let's just try to be a little bit careful about dancing around the religious aspects and the political aspects. I know it's going to be kind of impossible, but I do want to focus mainly on what the effect is on us and how it is kind of what the future holds for something like this, the cause and effect in a lot of respects. And so I wanted to start the conversation by asking if any of you have ever been affected by this. Has any of you experienced a banned book situation with your own stuff or somebody in the community that you know? And what was that like? Anybody?
I haven't yet, but I would expect that, considering some of the topics that I tackle in my books, that if it ever became popular enough, I might be on that fine line of it.
More than a fine line, me.
I think I came close once, and it wasn't a book banning. It was more of you have some great stories we want you to read for this event, but we don't want you to read that story, that one story, because it's graphic. And there was I had to hold back from being insulted because it's one of my favorite stories. And there was a reason why that particular graphic portion of the story was placed, and it had to do with it had some historical significance and reasoning. And unfortunately, the people who were questioning it apparently did not understand that. And so rather than fight with them and do what I wanted to do and tell them that they were stupid, which is always my go-to, I backed away and said, okay, I'll read something else. It's getting harder for me to back away from that.
Sure.
Yeah, and you shouldn't
You
have
know.
to, Jessica.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. And I'm becoming less and less agreeable to that kind of crap.
Nice.
So I haven't had a book banned, but Amazon refused to allow me to do any advertising or marketing on Broken Chains because of the cover.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not sexually explicit. It's not. No, but it has a gun on it. Ooh. So, yeah, they wouldn't allow me to do any advertising or marketing. And they basically said, you need to change this cover. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So,
Wow.
Wait till they read it.
I mean, I do have a story that Amazon, you literally have to have the exact link to get to. It's under my other pen name, Erin Thorne, because I tend to do the stuff that's explicitly like more like erotica under that. I haven't published a lot under it because my Madeline Dale name actually has some steamy stuff in it, but it's kind of frustrating that they will literally like, if your cover is a certain way or something, like it's on there, you literally can't market it unless you have the exact link to it. People can't go search for it. And it's frustrating because I write a lot of stuff that has steamy stuff, just like Karina. We have the stuff with the scenes that are very graphic, depending on like which direction you want to go. Sometimes it's with fighting and sometimes it's with sex, but like, yeah, so little frustrating.
Yeah, I can't ever use a weight bench the same way ever again because of you, Madeline. So
oh, I can only imagine that scene.
It's a good scene, just as good as the shower scene. So,
how about for you, Juliet? Have you experienced anything or felt anything like that?
Yeah, I think a lot is more subliminal. Like we don't necessarily, someone's not saying we're just going to ban your book, but I have a book that gets into like police brutality and church abuse and it's LGBTQ. So that book often seems to be like shifted away. Like people don't want me to read from it or they don't necessarily want to like put it up front. So I think sometimes it's that comfort level. They'll just kind of, like I said, shift it aside versus outright banning it, at least at this level.
Kurt Vonnegut used to say, he said that if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not trying hard enough. And I love that.
I love that.
Anita says, yeah, Facebook and Amazon have weird rules about weapons. Pictures of guns are scary.
Like my backdrop then.
It's very interesting to me because there is those levels, right? There is like the I'm offended level. There's the we're worried about what this says level. Then there's the outright ban because we're just assholes and we're going to ban something level. Then there's the level of just whatever one thing could trigger that will make it bannable. I worry about this is where I worry about when it comes to us and what we do and in the levels in which it seemed to kind of start to kind of pile together and kind of push together a little bit. And I'm curious what you all think about, in your own personal stance on writing and where you are. Is there lines you don't cross simply not because they're lines for you, but they're lines that you think, maybe, or do you potentially go, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to go over that line and see what happens. I know, Karina. I don't have to ask Karina that question. I know for a fact that's kind of something that she does a little bit. But I am curious. Is there lines for you in both thinking about your marketing aspects and your is this bannable kind of thought process versus, your own personal lines?
For me, I actually purposely go over the line. Like there's a part of me in my personal life that I'm very socially active. So I do want to challenge a lot of those like ideas and do it in a way that, I mean, nobody wants to see banned because then you're having to fight against that. But, I do want to be on that mark, I guess, where someone might get a little uncomfortable with what I write, but I want them to do it in a way that maybe they get a little uncomfortable, but they also think about what I'm writing, so it opens their mind.
Nice.
I like that.
I'm willing to be banned. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I do that all the time. Sorry. No, I'm willing to be banned. There are lines that I have that are personal lines that I won't cross. Because there are certain things that I just don't want to do, or that I don't think my characters would do. But if somebody's going to ban me, they're going to ban me. They're going to be offended. There are some people who are going to be offended no matter what I do.
Yeah.
Okay. For instance, one of the first reviews I got for Children of Menlo Park, somebody complained that they didn't finish the book because Thomas Edison was the bad guy in my book. And they just couldn't stand that Thomas Edison was the bad guy. And I'm like, okay, I have offended somebody. Yes, my Vonnegut score just went up. And so, you're going to offend somebody. And I mean, if Children gets banned somewhere, I'll kind of do a happy dance, because it means that I've scared somebody and I've made somebody nervous somehow. And there's other things actually in that book that would probably upset. I expected people to be upset more about some other things in the book besides Thomas Edison, honestly. There's some pretty, there's other crazy things that go in that book besides Thomas Edison.
Yeah, you bring up a pretty good point that I'll bring up after everybody answers. But
you make them question, like, you're with this stuff. And that's kind of something in my author career and writing, I've grown to accept. Like, I'm okay pushing those boundaries and occasionally stepping over some of them. When I started, I would not be writing the steamy stuff like I do now. I kind of worried how it go over, and now I just give 0 Fs about it. And it's like some of my stuff, I kind of want people to challenge that concept of like what hell is actually like, because there's so many different concepts out there now, and it's like, what if it's not what we've been taught forever, So like,
your hell had me at coffee.
Well, what if it's actually a place of second chances where people can like have another go to make up for the mistakes they made in life, So
yeah, I was ready to go to your hell when I heard there was endless coffee.
Yes. Really good. Yes. It's officially a quote out of one of my books now for my merch. So
how about for you, Karina? I know this is something you want to talk about. So
yeah, let Tiffany go next.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tiffany.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I kind of agree with Jessica. If I got on a banned book list, I would be ecstatic. It means that you're pushing boundaries and you're opening eyes other people's eyes to what you believe or what you're writing about. And as far as pushing boundaries, like, it's writing. It's just writing. If you don't like it, don't read it. Like, why even have a book ban? If you don't like it, just don't read it. And but it just seems silly to have somebody's imagination or their way of thinking be a subject of banning. It's like, then all books should be banned. It's somebody's imagination. But if I ever made it on a list, I would be perfectly happy with that, because it means that I push somebody to open their eyes to a way that they might not have believed before. That they're challenged by that. So
okay, so I've read books that I haven't been happy with that have triggered me, and I should never have opened that book. However, if anything should be banned, it should be authors touching a book after it's been published.
Yes. Yes.
If there's errors, leave them in. If there's politically incorrect, now we're in 2023, sexually orientated that people don't like, religious parts that people don't like, you're not allowed to touch them. They stay in. Books are timeless. When you start messing about with classics like they're doing now with these publishers, that is so out of. Oh, I just when I read that, I was like, what? And what was it, that children's book that's been banned for the last 10 years? Why? Come on, it's a cat. Why? You know, it's like, yeah, we are pushing boundaries because we're trying to bring out points and things that are going on in the world now. And there's always going to be people that aren't happy with your suggestions and how you feel on certain topics. You're always going to get that. But banning books, it's like freedom of speech. You should have freedom to write what you want. It doesn't matter how bad it is, and they can get really bad. Like I said, I've been triggered by some. However, the author should have the right to write what they want. And no one should have the right to ban and stop someone from freedom of speech in books.
Yeah, how about we ban bad writing?
Well, no, because then I wouldn't be able to publish a book again.
Yeah, too.
That's not.
And it's cool to
that's
see
not
how the
true.
authors grow from like where they started to like, you know, so
Exactly. It's those ones that go back to that first book and, oh, you know, I wasn't happy with it and I want to rewrite it. No, do not touch it. That is your original work. You know, you should be proud of that. Unless, of course, it's badly edited and hasn't been formatted. And, you know,
yeah.
if it's polished and it's out there and it's published, it shouldn't be touched.
Yeah,
And kind
and
of Oh,
go ahead,
Joe, I'm
Tiffany.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Tiffany.
And just to kind of piggyback on what Karina said, is we're going back and changing classics and editing out what people don't like. Is it's kind of like we're doomed to repeat history. If we don't have that history to read, we don't know how to change things now. So if we'll
Right.
be doomed to repeat history over and over again without those lessons in books.
Exactly.
We have to know where we come from.
Yeah, that's a great.
You gotta have
That's
that
a great
history
point.
out there.
Because that's kind of where I want to go with the conversation, and Jessica kind of helps lead that as well as Tiffany just did. My question is, who always has the authority to ban books? Who gets to make those decisions? Isn't it kind of the irresponsibility of the history and the way we've been taught history that is kind of triggering a lot of this? Like people's belief of Thomas Edison have no idea how misogynistic and how disgusting that world was during that time period, right? And
Right.
how people and how actual men who we honor and believe in were part of a generation that was really kind of really horrible in a lot of ways, to a lot of different to different to the gender lines, to the color lines, to everything. I mean, there was a different mindset, and yeah, that's part of the time. Like, reading Tom Sawyer curls my toes, but it was part of the time that when he wrote it, that's kind of the mentality that was being bandied a little bit, and that kind of I think there is I think there's kind of some gatekeeping going on with protecting our the way we were taught, and maybe it's just wrong, everybody, the way we were taught in school about certain things, right? And it and so do we feel like there's maybe a responsibility to kind of right that wrong a little bit too? Is that kind of how anybody who's written some historical stuff, do you approach it that way? Do you kind of look at it going, you know what, it's time to kind of admit that uh, Thomas Jefferson was an asshole for marrying a mistress and doing this and doing that, kind of stuff, right?
Totally
eh,
our responsibility.
Yeah,
Totally
tell
our
the truth. Yeah.
responsibility.
Agree. Yeah.
Totally our responsibility. It's totally our responsibility to unerase certain portions of the population who have been systematically erased in our teaching of our history, whether we're talking about women or indigenous peoples or people of other color or even individual groups. When I talk to people and we start talking about, we talk about the labor, and now we're getting into politics. So we start talking about labor like we're experiencing now, the labor politics now. Labor politics are not that different than they were in the time that I write about in the 1880s and 90s. The same rhetoric is being bandied around. The wording's different, but a lot of the same ideas are being bandied around about race, about how people work, about the worth of people. It's the same stuff.
Yeah, wealth and
But
inequality.
we don't know that.
And writers were nice, weren't they, back then? They didn't want to go into the real personalities, the real stories. They just wanted to make a nice story and make everyone nice. But it's our duty, especially this time, we're 2023 now, tell it how it is.
It's real. And
we've got nothing to
people
hide
suffered.
behind anymore. Tell it how it is.
A lot of history is written by the winning side too. You got to think about that too. So a lot of things get left out. And I'm going to use some examples. Like for Oklahoma, we have a mix of races here. We've got indigenous people, we've got blacks, we've got whites, we've got Irish, we've got everything. But like something that was left out of history for me was like the Tulsa Race Massacre. I didn't learn about that until like last year. That was a huge thing here. And then just like some of the indigenous stuff, like Christopher Columbus, like that whole stuff. I won't go deep into it, but like, yeah, that he was not a good person, but
read his diaries.
Oh, I don't even want to. Some of the stuff I've heard he didn't pass, but yeah. So I'll get off my soapbox.
And now we get a little sorry about that, guys.
Kind of going off what Madeline said about just learning history is like I didn't learn about Alexander Bell until I was in my first year of college, and the things that he did with a wife that was become deaf. He wanted to euthanize deaf people, and I didn't know that until I was way into like my 30s, and it's like that's not history that's taught to us, and it's almost doing a disservice to us because it's somebody who obviously invented the telephone, which is something we use every day, but it is not. We only see the one side of people when they're like somebody in the past, and it's like doing us injustice. It had anybody known that, would the telephone be where it was today? And so they mask a side of him to promote something else.
Exactly. Glorify them.
Well, and one of the things I was going to say, kind of getting back into like the banning of books and talking about older books that are classics. And I got into like a classic thing last year where I was just reading a lot of classics. And I was pretty shocked at how, there was anti-Semitism and there was racism. It just kind of weaved into the story as if it wasn't. And I think it's important not to change those things because I think it brings up discussion. Like to say, hey, I read this book. This is what is in this book. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that time. Let's talk about the author and maybe what they were seeing, from the world and how their point of view was. Because again, like Madeline said, it was the winning side. It was quite often, elite white men that wrote stories. So you had a lot of kind of things weaved in there. And it's a good way to open those discussions, even with students, like having those in class, read it and then talk about that and say, hey, what did you feel about this particular passage and what they were saying? And I think it's really important to keep those to really address the time. And then for us as authors now to right those wrongs and how we write, to tell that other side of the story. I don't want to say the losing side, but the side that maybe hasn't been told.
However, Juliet, there's teachers that are banning those classics that we do need to have the discussions with from their classroom. They're banning them
I mean,
from the curriculum now because
I
of
think that
this.
goes back to what Jessica was saying too about who has this authority. Everybody's making a decision based on their opinion at this point. You know, they're like, I don't like it, so I'm banning it. And there's just, if I don't agree with banning it all, but there's just got to be a better system to say you can't just ban it because you don't like it.
Exactly.
And let me make a correction here. It's not the teachers that are doing this. It's the administration.
Yeah,
It's
that would
the
make more sense.
pushing them to make we had a situation here in the county where I live where a teacher was fired for writing a book and reading it to her classroom. This is a local elementary school. She was fired this year. Good teacher. So the teachers aren't doing the banning.
No,
It's the administration. It's the school boards. It's coming from up top.
Mhm.
And then their hands are literally tied. I have another friend who is struggling. She's an English teacher, struggling to teach things that she should be able to just be allowed to teach because they are classics, Shakespeare. And she's fighting to keep them in her curriculum.
Yeah.
Y'all don't even
And
want
then
me
in
to
my
get
classroom, they
started.
know nothing.
You can only imagine what
principals
kind
try
of
to fix
books.
stuff, and it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, if they're taking
You don't
out
get me
those kind
started.
of books that will get that discussion going that we had in our class and we talked about, imagine the books that they are making our children, making the future politicians or whatever from education, what they're reading now, what they're being forced to learn. It's scary, it's frightening.
And isn't banning books kind of doing the exact thing that it's preventing, which is kind of narrowing the scope and telling it from one perspective, right? It's kind of like saying, here's what you really need to learn, and this is not good enough for you to bother with it, right?
And like, I'm going to use this book I just finished as an example. It's called Freedom Rising. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to use it. Because this author, she takes it, and books are completely not a thing. They don't exist in this world. You get burned and killed if you're found with a book. And they've taken warp and just tunnel visioned everybody's mind to believe this one thing because they can't read. Like, they won't let them have access to the things of what the world was like before and stuff. And it's just,
yeah. And this is a fine line because I feel like if you talk about banned books, you have to talk about politics, and it's like a fine line of what is right and what's wrong. And I'm a huge advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, and it seems like any book that has a powerful statement behind them gets banned.
Oh yeah, it's frustrating. And like this, I'm like, you guys, this is the good. It kind of gives you of what the world we're living in right now could actually turn into. It freaked me out just a little bit, but it's good.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
Well, I'll get a little political here and say that that the people banning the books, it's all fear based. It's all they're all afraid. They're all afraid that they're all afraid that their opinion's going to change or they're going to learn something. God forbid we all learn something or open our minds to hearing a different side of it.
Yes.
Right. And they're afraid that their children are going to challenge their beliefs. So the children aren't just going to follow the line.
Right.
And really, who are they banning the books from is from the kids, because if we wanted to go out and buy a banned book or find it somewhere, we can. But guess who can't? The kids. And so they're narrowing their education of what the world is to one perceived viewpoint.
Yes,
and
correct.
I'm trying not to rustle anybody's feathers, so I'm going to try to be narrow. But they're programming kids to see one way.
And you don't want that. These could be our future leaders. You want them to be open and optimistic. So
and they have this fear that a book can change somebody and like turn them into somebody part of a certain community or turn them into being.
It's going to go.
Say it, Tiff.
It's like they just want it one way only. And like, if a book could change somebody that much, it would it would be incredible because more people need to read, but it doesn't happen that way. You know, most of the time, most books are fiction based, and it's not like, you know, reading a book, it's going to turn you into an elf. You know, like,
No.
I just don't understand.
What? What? Oh no!
Yeah,
I turned into an elf.
But that's way to get lessons across.
And I turned
with
into
the-
an elf.
No,
Oh
so
my god!
When I read
mean,
that
as long as-
article, Joe,
as
when
50 Shades of Grey doesn't turn you into a bad writer, you're good. You know?
when I read that article and I saw those books at their list of books, and all of them were sexually explicit or had LGBTQ plus, I'm like, we're in 2023 now. Most people have accepted the difference with sexual orientation. It is normal for us now. I remember what it was like 10 years ago. What it is now, people are being open about who they are, and they're being allowed to be open about who they are. They're allowed to live their life. They're allowed to be to learn who they are sexually, and people are accepting that now. Most people. So books that have these sexual orientation plots and mentions, it's normal. It's relatable. It's our world now. Our world's changed in the last 10 years. Our world changed big time because of this lifestyle, and it's in books, and it's going to stay in books. You can't ban books because they're talking about what's happening in our world. You can't ban books because they're talking about sexual explicit sexual scenes. That's in books from like 40 years ago. I mean,
yeah.
God, if they saw Broken Chains, that would be straight off the market. But and the next one, oh my God, that one blows it out the water. But yeah, we've got to push those boundaries. It's our job as especially independent authors that don't have that restriction by some of the publishers, because they are starting now to listen to what's allowed, because they're not going to publish a book if it's going to get banned. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they've started their own restrictions. As independent authors, it's our job to push those boundaries, and we have the right to do it, and we can do it, and we should do it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll continue this discussion on the other side of the Indie Connection. Speaking of books, I think this is only the second time this has ever happened in the history of the Indie Connection, which I'm really proud of because both of the authors are here. The first time it was for Karina, and today you'll recognize somebody's name in the Indie Connection who is here right now. Here is the Indie Connection for this week.
Hey guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. The first book I have for you is called The Ghost of Direwood by Keith Robinson. Ben, Emma, Nate, and Mia, 4 friends determined to film the paranormal in the creepy town of Darkhill. They call themselves Dark Seekers. It's well known that a ghostly woman haunts Direwood. But to track her down and get evidence on film, the young investigators first have to get past a crazy old hermit. The mostly fearless Darkseekers set out to brave the creepy woods and be the first to tell the world just how haunted their town is. In doing so, they discover there might be more than one ghost lurking in the shadows. The second book I have for you is called Frightmares by Michael Dahl. What if you only had 100 words to warn humanity of a deadly danger? What if your favorite sci-fi movie suddenly turned into a real-life worst nightmare? What if a girl you've never seen before keeps showing up in photos on your cell phone? What if you hear a knocking sound in the middle of the night? In each of the 27 tales in this book, people are afraid, very afraid. Read their stories. See if you share their fears, because if you don't now, you will. The third book I have for you is called Horrors in Time by Tiffany Vega. This is a short story collection of things that go bump in the night. Wonder what happens after the boogeyman gets you? If you summon a demon? Find out who the Snatcher is and who invades in 3 days. And the last book I have for you is called Minor Mischief by E.M. Lacey. Limitless power in the hands of minors. Mischief is bound to happen. Haunting, heartwarming, and tenacious, Minor Mischief is a collection of intricately crafted stories celebrating the power of innocence and imagination. Homegoing. Everyone keeps telling little Patrick McPherson that his Nana B has gone to live with God. He knows it's not true because he can still see her. To prove it, he wakes her up. The magic in kisses. A mother's magic is in her kiss, but little Chloe Jones's lips hold an unbelievable power. Pinky Swear. Delilah made a promise to her little brother Carlos that not even death can stop her from keeping. Heartburn. A terrifying secret burns deep in the Arshan family. Embracing it may be the only way Anala can save them. The Boy Who Cried Vampire. 6-year-old Ricky has a vampire problem, but no one believes him. Will he be able to prove vampires are real before the one stalking him catches him? Keep the lights on and tissues handy. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye!
As always, we're very appreciative to CL Cannon for doing that for us, especially when she mentioned somebody who's here. So now you have no excuse, everybody. Somebody that's actually here has a book in the Indie Connection. You need to go get that book. It's awesome. It's if you're a fan of horror, you gotta check out what Tiffany's written. She's an incredible writer. No matter what she says, I don't care what she says. She's a great writer. And yes, Karina, you did appear on the Indie Connection. And the reason I know that is because it was S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders, and you were in your book. I don't even know which one it was. I think it was In Times of Violence. This was at the beginning of the Indie Connection.
I gotta go hunt that down.
Yeah, I'll find it for you and I'll send it.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was curious, Jessica, which cover were you referring to?
I don't remember now. I can't remember the title.
What does it look like?
This is old lady time. I don't remember. But it was awful cute. Actually, all the covers were really cute, so it could be all of them. So.
And just to put it out there, because a lot of those sounded like they were for kids. Mine is not for kids. Okay, it is quite blood and gore and so it is an adult version for scary stories.
Awesome.
Well, the last one sounded like the sort of thing that someone would try to ban. From the story lines, yeah.
I love the blurb of the last one too, when it said you need a lot of tissues. I thought that was cute. That's a neat.
I thought it was sweet. Yeah,
that's cool. I enjoyed that. All right, so I wanted to kind of wrap up the conversation here, talking a little bit about what is the thing that I contend. I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here for a little bit, and I contend that I think banned books is a disingenuous idea. And the reason why I say that is because I remember as a youth trying to find all the books that I was not allowed to read, right? That, the Ayn Rands of the world and, all those books that kind of like everybody was like, oh, this is garbage. Don't read it, or this is not, we don't believe in this. Yeah. Oh, really? Cool. I'm going to read that. And so I think banning books only helps that book. And it proves out there was a statistic that was released. And I know everybody hates math and it's 9:00 in the morning here. And I'm throwing out numbers and I apologize. But there was a statistic released by BookScan about 3 years ago talking about how actually banned books is a disinfective way of getting people not to read it. They actually appear on the bestseller list, or their sales go up 150% after they appear on a list of banned books. So publishing the list is just like, you guys are idiots. Because people are going to go read that book now. So I agree. We all should be on a banned book list. So put us all on a banned book list. All our books suck, everybody. We're all evil. Come on. But yeah, but that being said, I am curious though. What is the thing that frightens you most about banned books? What is it? The thing that you fear this could lead to? This could, is there something that out there that you're kind of just going, you know, this has to stop for this reason?
Madeline proved that when she lifted up that book. It's scary. We've started. How far is it going to go?
Yeah.
Where's the line drawn? Is it going to
Right.
end up like that, where books will be banned?
Yeah, and you'll be killed for reading ones that were banned
Right.
or having a book in general, even if it's a journal.
How many fiction books have come true so far? Things that we would never have imagined to happen in our life has happened. You can't say that that's science
I would also go
fiction,
the opposite way, and how many of them have been total bullshit?
Yeah. I always go back to Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
And that's my line in the sand. It's like, how close are we getting to that point where we're going to start like truly having people that just go out and burn the books, and it's okay. And I mean, we've already got the flat screen TVs, right? The first flat screen TVs, when they first came out, I had just read that book, freaked me out. I'm like, of course I have one now, but it freaked me out. I'm like, we are getting closer. And there are things that I just see in that book, and I see how people are acting towards reading and books, and I'm like, we're getting ever so closer. We're getting ever so closer, and we're getting it's a mixture. There's a mixture of things that happen to get us to that place. It's not just burning the books or banning the books. It's the removal of the understanding of books being important, of the knowledge that is contained in that books, of the ideas that we're placing in those books, and the value of those books. I go into my classroom sometimes and I'll ask, how many students, or what's the last thing you read? And you would be surprised how many students I will get respond to me and say, the last book I read was like maybe in middle or elementary school. These are adults. Now, this semester, I've had students who are actually readers. I'm like blown away. I don't know where these students have come from. I want to hug each of them and go, I love you. But it's rare. And it's getting rarer. Which means that we're bringing up a population of people who are less educated and not thinking as much.
And that is heartbreaking in and of itself, like right there.
It terrifies
They're
me.
gonna be.
It's not just heartbreaking; it's scary.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be the ones that lead us when they get older, because we're not gonna be able to take care of things when we're to a certain point. Like, it's gonna be up to them, and if they're like single-minded, only one belief, one thing, and haven't had their mind open to things, we're screwed.
Yeah, people who don't read are less sympathetic. They also have less skills in terms of critical thinking.
Yeah, their brains also not flexible. Like, they have a higher rate of getting like Alzheimer's and dementia and everything like kicking in, because their brain has not been able to like. Sorry, Joe. I see your thing there. You're like, okay, stop talking, Maddie.
He's signaling us. Okay.
No. I was just putting it up there. Sorry, that's my mistake. I apologize.
You're good. But like their brains aren't as flexible to continue learning new things as they get older, because they haven't read. They don't have that flexibility. And that's coming from like me working in the health field. I've seen so many different cases of dementia, and it's just like, yeah, it's not completely preventable. I'm at high risk having that myself, but you can prolong it the more flexible and stuff, the more you do with your brain, like reading and like learning new things. So sorry. Soapbox.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw everybody off. I apologize about that.
Banning books it's a way of censoring, and like
Yes.
it's against right now in the climate that we are in, everybody talking about their First Amendment right to speech and to express ourselves. It's a way of expressing ourselves is through our books, and I write a lot of stuff about like religion. So it's like my way of expressing how I feel, but also it's the story that I want to write, and it's not against any religion or religious beliefs, but it is something that's very like controversial, and I wouldn't want myself censored because it's just a story. I'm not going out there telling people this is how they should be or how they I think they should be. It is just a story. So being censored for my creativity just seems really wrong.
Agreed.
I also think it's one part of a greater whole. It's not banning books, it's banning thought, because it goes from banning books to banning music to banning art to banning your clothes to how you speak to who you're allowed to speak to. It's a slippery slope, and this is just one element that if we don't stop it, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
All right, everybody say what they need to say. Everybody feel good? Yeah, yeah. I mean, bottom line is that banning books is just one of those things that has been around forever, and it's not going away anytime soon. But I do think that we're a lot more self-aware than we've ever been, and I think that in that respect, I think we'll tailor it to. I don't want to say make it work for us because that's the wrong approach, but in a lot of ways, that's kind of how it is. You just deal with it, right, and kind of figure it out around it. But I mean, for somebody like Jessica, where it is actually effectual because you don't have a choice. If you're teaching something and they don't want you to teach it, they're going to tell you not to teach it, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of idea, but
too, which is stupid. But sorry.
yeah, no, it's
I
all
can
good.
always walk.
That's true. That is true. Part of why I'm homeschooling my child, though. So
Yeah.
All right. So from banning books to making you all feel even more uncomfortable, are you all ready to have some fun and be challenged by my 5-minute drill here? Is everybody ready?
Do it.
Oh,
Ready.
yes.
All right. And then we'll let's let me put this in there. Don't worry, I'll reset it. Calm down, everybody. I'll reset it. All right.
I'm not nervous yet.
All right. Oh, so how you all played before? Everybody played here, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all know how this works, right? I'm gonna just go down the line. I'm gonna ask a question. So on my screen it goes Juliet, Karina, Madeline, Jessica, Tiffany, and then I'll just snake it back. I have 10 questions for you. Let's see how far you get in the 5 minutes. Everybody ready? Here we go. The very first thing you would do if you woke up and you were a man.
If I woke up and was what?
If you woke up and you were a man, the very first thing you would do.
Make more money.
Karina?
Have a pee.
Alan?
I mean, the whole thing with coming with gender imbalances, you could make more money, like Juliet said. But yeah, sorry. Yes.
Jessica?
Scream.
Tiffany?
Helicopter.
All right. Nice. All right, Tiffany. Would you rather write a sappy, tropey romance or rewrite one of the books you can't stand?
Rewrite one of the books I can't stand.
Jessica?
Romance.
Sappy
Madeline?
romance for me.
Rewrite.
All right.
Rewrite.
All right. Juliet, breakfast, lunch, or dinner food?
Breakfast.
All right.
Dinner.
Breakfast.
All right. Jessica?
Breakfast.
Tiffany?
Lunch.
All right, Tiffany. One item at the salad bar you are scooping up more than a couple scoops of.
Oh, probably artichokes.
Jessica?
Black olives.
Yeah.
Croutons.
Potato salad.
Tomatoes.
All right. Juliet, your favorite way to say hello?
Okay.
That's Karina.
Hi.
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi.
What's up?
Nice. All right, Tiffany. Movie you will stop to watch no matter how many times you've already seen it.
Knight's Tale, because I watched it last night too.
Jessica.
Whatever happened to Baby Jane?
Nice.
Any
Yeah.
Harry Potter movie.
All right.
Lord of the Rings.
All right. Juliet.
Mine's a toss up between Little Miss Sunshine and Stranger Than Fiction.
Nice. All right. Juliet, have you ever broken a pencil and kept writing and discarded the part that you broke and just kept writing?
I don't think I've ever broken a pencil while writing, and I think because I write with the computer, I think it's irrelevant.
All right. Fair enough. Karina?
Yeah, I mean, I sharpen it, but I will carry on using the pencil.
Nice. Madeline?
Yes.
Yep.
Jessica? Tiffany?
Yes.
All right. Would you rather, Tiffany, read erotica or gory horror?
Oh, horror.
Jessica?
Erotica.
Madeline?
Oh, erotica.
Erotica.
Horror.
All right. Would you rather, Juliet, write erotica or gory horror?
Well, I write horror, so I'm just going to go with horror.
Nice.
Obviously, erotica.
Madeline?
Erotica.
All right. Jessica?
Horror.
Tiffany?
Horror.
All right, Tiffany. The best part about being a female author?
You can get away with writing erotica.
Jessica?
I don't know what she said. You can get away with writing erotica.
Nice. Madeline?
You can really dive into the female brain and nobody questions it.
Nice.
Exactly. Again, being sexual in your scenes and stuff.
Nice. Juliet?
I would say challenge people on writing horror. People tend not to think that women can write it, and I've won awards, so I know I can.
Nice. Yeah, there you guys go. Minute 8 left. Good
Oh,
job.
that's not 10 questions.
It was 10 questions. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, y'all. Hang on, let me fix this.
Let's see, are we in the lead, people?
No.
No. Oh well.
There was still some good questions though, good answers too.
Thank you. I hope you all have fun. Did you all have fun doing that?
Very much.
Absolutely.
Can absolutely tell who the erotica writers are here.
I have to say, because I am
I'll
cross
surprise
genre,
myself.
I also do write sex scenes. So yeah, that's I write everything.
Actually,
Like I said,
don't,
there's
but
nothing I won't write, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of writing, where can we all find your writing? Let's start with you, Karina. Tell everybody where they can find you at.
You can find me as Queen Agantus. I don't have a pen name. I'm all over the shop. Just type in Queen Agantus. 64,000 pages will come up. I've been around for a while.
You know, Karina, I learned something new today, and it's
Oh.
because of you I learned, and I'm real excited about that. And that is that you're writing another book in the Broken Chain series.
Ah,
That's fantastic. I didn't know that, and I'm real excited about that. So cool. Thank you. All right, Juliet, where can we find you?
You can find me on my website, authorjulietrose.com. And just to say, I have won 37 awards, so please give my stuff a chance. And I will be at Multiverse.
Nice. Hold some books for me. I'm going to buy some books from you.
I will.
All right. Tiffany, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on my website, which is booksbytiffanyvega.com. And if you want to pre-order Yord's Curse, which is coming out in just about a week, you can pre-order it on Amazon. And I will be at Multiverse if you want a paperback copy. And I think that's it. Oh, and then Mood Alchemy, if you're interested in getting cups, shirts, anything to support mental
Yeah,
health
yeah.
awareness and LGBTQ plus community, and I'm adding a book section to it as well. So we'll see some banned book stuff on there.
Yay!
Get it?
You can go to moodalchemy.com and look around on the shop there as well.
Remember your promise to me. Remember, you're going to help me get to the crafts room this year.
I am. I will. If I have to drag you, I
Wow.
will.
All right.
I
You're
will.
going to have to probably. I'm going to totally forget. So
We will.
yeah.
There's a lot going on.
All right, Jessica, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at jessicanettlesauthor.com. You can also find me at Multiverse. I'll be at the signing table Saturday from 11:15 to 12:15. Signing books. You can also find my book at the Falstaff table. So come by and see us.
Is the sign-in thing in the artist gallery? Is that where that is?
I think so. No, you're
I think
asking
that's
me.
where it was last year,
I
right?
don't
It was in
know.
that
I
little
just signed
corner.
up for it, man.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm gonna have to find out. I don't know, but I think it
You
is.
got a couple days.
They didn't give you a location.
Give me anything. I say that they might have, and I might not have read clearly enough because it was early when I signed up.
Yeah.
Because I do all my stuff early in the morning, so there's a good chance I didn't have coffee and didn't read deeply enough. I am not sure where it is, but I will learn.
We'll all find it. We'll all find it.
We'll
I mean,
find
it's not like we have to go 5 miles to find something in Multiverse. So.
Absolutely, and you can ask questions. So
Yeah. Geez, there's a novel concept: asking questions.
Imagine that. Yeah, that's something teachers know about. Yeah, ask questions.
Nice. All right, Madeline, where can everybody find you?
All right, guys, you can find all of my stuff at my website. I have Hooked coming out soon. That's my next novel dropping. It's a retelling of Captain Hook, but the protagonist is female and she actually falls for a witch in the story. It's a really fun compilation.
Nice.
My first foray into high fantasy, but love the pirate stuff. And yeah, Hooked is definitely going to hook you when you check it out. It's available pre-order right now. It's wide and it's dropping December 12th. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll
Good luck,
have all of
darling.
my other books available. Black Flames. I'm bringing extras because the last con I ran out of these books. So I'll have these at the table if you want to get signed copies, as well as all of my other books that are paperbacks. Some of my short stories are not available in paperback, but you can find everything on my website as well. So.
And I will tell you, at Madeline's table, you will find a binder there that houses QR codes to scan for Go Indie Now merchandise. We'll have sweatshirts, t-shirts,
Cool.
mugs.
You may be able to catch Joe being like a booth babe. So
yeah, I might have to do that once for a few minutes.
And if you're a fan of Ron, he'll probably be there at some point too.
Yes, Ron Laura will be there as well at that table. So yeah, but I just wanted to mention that we will have. You'll have to scan it and then order it, but they'll. I don't want to bring like 5,000 things and overwhelm Madeline's table, so we're doing a little booklet. So, but if the booklet will be there and they'll have QR codes, you just scan a QR code and then you can order what you want. And then for those who are not attending Multiverse, that will be available to you very, very soon as well. So, so you'll be able to order stuff from us. All right. Thank you for joining, everybody. This is Going Now. Thank you for finding us. We appreciate it. Smash the like button, subscribe, do all those wonderful things that you do to help us get seen. Comment, tell us about your banned book story after the fact. We would love to hear it, and what you're concerned about, what you think about banned books. We would love to hear your opinion on that subject matter, and just leave them in the comments there, and we'll be happy to address it. If you have a question, I can always let the panel know that there's a question out there and they can go answer it if they'd like. But yeah, next Sunday we will be live in Atlanta, Georgia. Same time as always, noon Eastern, for our now annual pilgrimage to Multiverse. This will be the third time we've done it live, so I'm real excited about that. And we got some fun stuff in store for you as well. And if you're at Multiverse and you happen to walk into the screenwriting panel, you might hear me drop some news, some exclusive news that I'm planning on dropping at Multiverse. Hopefully I can. I'm just trying to get the permission for, but I have some exciting things happening with Joe Compton that I can't talk about right now.
Woohoo!
But I'm hoping we'll drop it in Multiverse. Real exciting. So I really hope that it all comes to fruition. But that being said, thank you everybody for joining us. And remember that it is always time when we get situated here to go indie now. We'll see you again. We'll see you live from Multiverse next week. Bye.